guys remember when we sometimes used to start these videos off with some poetry? No, well, unrefined we've become. Folks, let me ask you something. Is this the real Doctor? Question's worded a bit awkwardly. Let me rephrase. Is this the one and only Dottore in all of Teyvat? Why do I ask that? Dottore, as we all know, is someone who's infamous for having made different versions or segments of himself, meaning at certain points there were a bunch of, different Dottores running around Teyvat.
You mean there are many different versions of you in this world?
An astute guess. Even the same individual will have different cognitions at different ages. A long time ago, I made a major decision in hopes of preserving all my perspectives of how I observe the world. Observation is the first step of any experiment, but observing the current world doesn't satisfy me. It lacks an important dimension, that of time. So I saved segments of all my ages and made them into independent individuals.
But then, in a deal for the Electronosis, Nahida had Dottore delete all other segments except the one standing before her now.
What a ridiculous decision! You can't be serious!
How could I have been so short-sighted?
You think this is the end? Wait, I'll have please wait!
You'll make this moment count.
You will regret this!
To Dottore, this was a small price to pay in exchange for the Gnosis, and while it's because he'd argue no one could offer themselves up at a higher price, maybe it's because the deal made with the Dendro Archon didn't preclude the future creation of other segments, for which this segment of Dottore still seemingly has the knowledge to do.
Segments are extraordinarily difficult to make. They require extremely rare resources and enormous amounts of time and effort.
Money, time, and resources. Well, it's been quite some time since Sumeru, and as for resources and money, if only there was some place the Doctor could have access to all of those.
Smarts alone won't get him all the way. He needs the Rooster's resources and Regrator's Mora, both of which the tsarista can strip from him by waggling a finger.
So why do I bring all this up? Did this Dottore and Nod-Krai do something to make me suspect he's not the one and only Dottore? Kinda. He was on screen for but a short while. It'd be kind of tough to draw any conclusions from his short appearance. I'm actually more concerned with Arlecchino's words. You see, when Arlecchino failed to uncover what the Doctor's been scheming, she went up and snitched to the tsarista, who had Dottore recalled back to Snezhnaya.
With this in mind, I returned to Snezhnaya and relayed my thoughts to Her Majesty the Tsarista, entreating her to have him recalled.
That's pretty direct. Did the tsarista agree?
Yes. I made it abundantly clear that the Fatui's business in Nod-Krai is almost concluded, and we do not need 3 harbingers in this territory. Her Majesty concurred. Accordingly, Dottore has returned at her orders.
Yet despite this, the Doctor still made it in time to jump Columbina in Nod-Krai. Folks, doesn't this sound familiar? Has the Doctor ever been recalled back to the palace, only to inexplicably show up somewhere else moments later?
Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't just let you off the hook like this. But unfortunately, I'm in a hurry today, what with Her Most Noble Majesty the Tsaritsa calling for our return.
It's time to say goodbye.
Wait, is he the only person on the boat?
Luckily, there is still some time left for me to take care of everything before I leave.
I heard you had already left Sumeru. Why are you here again now?
I left Sumeru, but I also stayed in Sumeru.
It's a 1-for-1, and the reason he gave for being able to maneuver around Teyvat like this are his segments. So, does the Doctor have another segment scurrying the lands? Well, if, another segment did exist, it would have to look identical to the one segments we're currently looking at, because if he made another segment, it'd have to mirror how the last one looked, otherwise everyone would know he made new segments. Well, as it just so happens, the Doctor isn't unfamiliar to making identical-looking segments, given the one that left Sumeru and the one that stayed in Sumeru are exact copies of one another. Now, the one thing detracting from all this is the final segment itself. As Dottore described, the current segment had no problem erasing all the other segments because it's the most selfish and had long grown tired of all the other segments.
Among all the versions of me, this segment you see now is the most selfish. If it weren't me, your idea wouldn't have worked. What did you see when you were imprisoned? You were observing me, and that's how you know I've long grown tired of their doubts and endless arguments.
So the idea that this segment would make more seems dubious if this is true. Regardless, other segments have little bearing on the story right now, so let's focus on what Dottore is currently attempting to do, which is transcend or go beyond his own destiny and do something only a god might be able to do.
According to Miss Alice, he is attempting to transcend his destiny and finish an experiment that only a god might complete.
Now, of all the things a god alone in Teyvat is capable of, altering Irminsul is the one that stands out as the most obvious, and as we know, Dottore is extremely interested in conducting an experiment regarding Irminsul.
So, where's the segment in the prime of his life, then?
He's busy with a little experiment in blasphemy.
This is especially interesting when you realize as soon as Dottore nabbed the Three Moons' powers, he himself said it was time for one final experiment.
All 3 moons in one place. Time for one final experiment.
Furthermore, the Dottore we see burning Irminsul and the Dottore in Nod-Krai are one and the same. In addition, this could possibly explain why he felt the need to lure the Hexen Circle away, given, aside from whatever the fuck they do on a day-to-day basis, a lot of what they spend their time doing is studying Irminsul. To become a god, Dottore decided to wield the Three Moons' powers, and with them, he'd gain power over all the laws of the land. Laws, notably being reason, time, life, death, space, the same powers belonging to the heavenly principles, and shades.
Reason, life, death, time, and space.
Eons ago, before the heavenly principles came to Teyvat, it was the then 3 moon goddesses who controlled the laws of this world.
Now, to acquire control over said laws, Dottore needed all 3 moons' powers, but Columbina threw herself into the Moon Gate to prevent this, thus taking away the power of the Frost Moon. But this whole laws business, this is all odd to me. Dottore later confirms these powers never originally belonged to the heavens,
But Teyvat's primordial power never did belong to the throne of heaven.
and that's fine, but we clearly know 2 things. One, despite having control over these laws, the Moon Sisters were still no match for the heavenly principles when they first arrived.
But when the heavenly principles came, they changed the world completely, down to its very foundations. The moon goddesses were nowhere near strong enough to challenge this entity.
And 2, the Shades currently have control over these laws, as seen with things like Renova's manipulation over death, when she cursed all the Conrians, or Istaroth's control over time. So how would Dottore nabbing the moon's powers give him control over the laws when the moons don't even currently have that power themselves? They presumably lost this power either when the heavenly principles first descended, or after the heavenly principles broke the moons in half following the War of Funerary Flame, but either way, the moons should have lost this power, so how Dottore was seemingly able to control time for but a brief moment with a snap is completely beyond me. Regardless, Columbina stopped him, because, I guess the whole time stop thing doesn't work on gods, or descenders. I don't know, it seems kind of arbitrary. I mean, I guess you should have just whipped out the fucking go-to-sleep device he used in Sumeria to put down the Traveler, huh? Where do we go from here? Well, unless I'm mistaken, Dottore should still have 2 moons Marrows, the Iridescent and Eternal, although they kind of went haywire for some reason right at the end, causing him to flee.
Stubborn world, do not try to control me.
Well, at first you something. See, I'm sure I'll try again. Goodbye.